I'm Marlin Lavanhar. This is my daughter Lyla, and we want to welcome you into our family room for this very special Wednesday night chapel for All Souls Unitarian Church in Tulsa. We are doing our social distancing, so instead of at the chapel at the church all together, we're here at home. And I'll just tell you, everything is perfect here in our home, and I hope that wherever you are, things are going well. Every Wednesday night since we've been social distancing, we just huddle around the piano like this and we sing and we talk about spiritual things and have a great time. Isn't that right, Lyla?
Yeah, every Wednesday night we do this.
There is just a great amount of joy and laughter and love in our home, and it's just wonderful to invite you in and have you be a part of it with us this evening. We're going to light our chalice. And this is the first night of Passover for the Jewish people. Of course, on my father's side of the family, we're Jewish. I grew up with many of the Jewish traditions, including Passover. So it's fun to share a little bit about this holiday with you on this special Wednesday night. And this is a holiday when the Jews commemorate and remember their time as slaves in Egypt and then the freedom from slavery. They made their way towards the promised land, and on the way at Mount Sinai, they entered into a covenant with God. We at All Souls have a covenant with each other, and it's a covenant that we say every time we gather in worship, including on Wednesday nights. So why don't you, if you would like to, you can join us as we say our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant,
to dwell together in
peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. All right. Well, the story of Passover is also the story of the 10 plagues. So there's a lot of fun. Jews have a lot of fun recalling these plagues. And interestingly enough, in the story, God uses plagues in order to help people become free. So helping the Jews become free. These plagues are enacted upon the Egyptian people and the Pharaoh in order to scare them to let the Jews go. So here we are, thousands and thousands of years later, and we're dealing with a plague of sorts, a worldwide pandemic. And so our question for this evening is, how might what we're going through, this plague, if you will, help lead us towards some new freedom or some new promise or promised land for ourselves? So I want us to be thinking about that tonight, and I want us to be thinking about, first of all, I want to say, it's not my theology that God is using this plague in order to move us towards freedom. So I'm not suggesting that, but I am suggesting that we think about this. And I know at a time like this, we have to ask ourselves, what might I let go of so that I could be more free? And maybe we could let go of some of our ideas of separateness. You know, here we are feeling more connected to people all over the world, recognizing that we are all interconnected. And so maybe we can start leaning in more towards our sense of a common human family. That would be a beautiful outcome of what's happening now. Now, I realize it's hard at a time when we're scared, when people are dying, and we're scared for our own health and for our loved ones and for ourselves. We're scared sometimes for our jobs or our futures, whether we can put food on the table, whether our retirement funds will be okay. We're worried about those things, and so it's hard to be thinking about freedom and what's the future like. But I want us to do that, to just try to focus our attention a little bit on this idea that even the bad things that happen in our lives can lead us to freedom. This is the Wednesday of Easter week, and the Wednesday of Easter week is also the time when Christians think about the betrayal of Judas's betrayal of Jesus, which of course ultimately led to the crucifixion. And so again, that's a story where this betrayal, which is usually an awful thing, is actually used as a tool towards salvation, as a tool towards freedom. So it's a time when we can think about these difficult things, plagues, sicknesses, deaths, betrayals. How might we, in spite of all of that, find some way to allow those things to move us forward in life? Let's think of that as Lyla plays this original piece that she's composed and been working on for us. So this, since Holy Week for Christians is also connecting with the Passover for the Jews, I want to talk a little bit about those two traditions and how they connect. I mean, Passover, the last plague, the Jews were asked to sacrifice a lamb and then to use the blood to mark their doorway, and God would pass over those homes that had the blood on the doorway so that the Jews would be passed over from the last plague and would be able to flee to freedom. And in Christianity, Jesus becomes the lamb, so to speak, the sacrifice of God, whose blood is said by Christians to save the world and lead us towards freedom from sin and freedom from the perils of this world. Now, as Unitarian Universalists, we don't focus so much of our understanding of the Christian tradition and the Bible around Jesus' death and his blood and those kinds of things, but we focus more on his life and his teachings and his stories and the way in which he taught us to love and to forgive and to be kind and to be compassionate. He said to love our neighbors. He said even to love our enemies. And so he taught a lot about living in the spirit of the law and trying to do what we can for the goodness of all and to create a more just world. So on this Holy Week, on this Passover week, whether you're celebrating Easter this week or celebrating Passover or celebrating some other holiday or just enjoying the beautiful blossoming of spring, which is here upon us in the midst of all of this, we hope that your life is moved in positive ways by everything that's happening. We can find some goodness underneath this, and we can move our own lives towards freedom, let go of some things that are holding us back, keeping us captive or in bondage to things that we don't need anymore. Let us make this a more promised land on the other side of all of this. We will get through this together. And so we're going to blow out our chalice now. Lila's going to take us out with a little bit of music. And as she does, I want to say, may you have peace, peace in your home, peace in your life, peace in your heart. Ready? Have a good night. Happy Passover, happy Easter, happy spring, and happy life.